Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. If you haven't had that homie that used to download music from Napster and burn CDs, smash that subscribe button. Go ahead and have him smash it right now. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to the following patrons: Hernan, G, Abuelita Irma, Michael Mua, Winston, Alejandro, Trailero760, Grant, El Skid, Nathan, Hobie Cat, Mika Boy, Lead with Love, Charles, Albert 12, Soulstar LA, AI Vega, Esquiel, Big Bad 48, JT, Nova, Jack, Linda, Guerrero Angel upgraded his membership. Shout out to you, Angel. Michigan Wolverines, Mikey559 upgraded his membership. You guys are doing the Lord's work. Marius, Chevelle66, Gigi, Abuelita's Journey, and Daus Herrero. If you have not even signed up for that Patreon, make sure you hit that link in the description below. You are definitely missing out. This episode right here, man. Hector, you guys be catching huilas, kites, one-times, little tiny notes that they be passing back in the day? Yeah. Sure did. 100%. This was more prominent before the cell phone era, before cell phones were rampant inside of California state prisons. You know, now they be getting in there from everywhere. Dirty staff members, drone drops in the middle of the yard. They're a dime a dozen inside prison. Chargers. Let's start with, I had to go through my filing cabinet. Let's start with what written correspondence, right? Do people drop kites? This fucking light right here. Hold on. Okay, I gotta do this. Anyhow, do people drop kites in the medical 7219 box? Yes. What does that mean, Hector? It means that inmates are telling on other inmates by writing a note and dropping it in the medical box, so that when medical staff goes around, they read it and they're like, "Oh my goodness, they're planning on killing all of you guys." Oh, really? We would just roll our eyes like it didn't matter to us, right? Well, Hector, what do you mean it didn't matter to you guys? They're trying to kill you. I mean, what difference does it make? Whether there's a fucking note, whether there's not a note, whether they're telling us to our face, whether they're telling us behind the cell door. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Period, right? I think this one came about when I was a lieutenant on Delta Yard. It says this. You know, in the way it'll usually be presented, a medical staff will walk it over and hand it on the lieutenant's desk or the sergeant's desk, and like, "Oh, I found this in the medical box," and we're like, "Oh, here we go." And I'm gonna read it verbatim, right? Verbatim. Attention COs, I'm sending in this kite to let you know the blacks on C Yard are trying to get a bunk of blacks together to take off on the staff, and I know this because I am black. That's how I know this, and I am not with it. So I'm letting you guys know before it happens, and I hope you guys listen to me. Before it happens, and it's some of the inmates from High Desert, they say they want to let these COs know that they are with the business. And I have been seeing a lot of weapons on the yard. And they are big, and one cat said he wants to bust on a lieutenant, and another one said his Sally wanted a captain. And so I hope you guys can deal with this problem, because it's supposed to go down, so you guys please deal with this. And I wish I could tell you guys who I am, but it would get me killed. And I'm telling you guys, one of your COs or more are going to die real soon. Thank you. No, thank you for letting us know, buddy. Well, Hector, why the hell wouldn't you take that serious? Is that a credible threat, yes or no? Probably not. Because if they were going to do it, they would just do it, period. That was my mentality. Secondly, you guys got to understand the tactics. It could have very been a Mexican that wrote this. I don't want to say whites because Donovan, I mean, they weren't getting too political with it. They're just kind of, they didn't have the big numbers. But it could have been a rival gang wanting the blacks to go on lockdown. That's like what experience tells you. That's what common sense tells you. Man, you guys are getting some gems over here. So we would like roll. We would like sometimes their spelling and grammar would be off the charts, off the hook. Man, we'd be laughing like. I mean, it's not funny to laugh at other people's lack of education, but I mean, they would be. It would be really, really, really bad, really bad. I mean, the spelling would be chopped up, and we look, and we just pass it around. It's like, tell you the truth, stuff like that never really got past the sergeant's desk, the lieutenant's desk. I mean, what are we gonna do? Slam them? Not necessarily. Now, depending if there was a credible threat, an actual credible threat. Let's say a good example would be if we shot somebody with a Mini 14. Then we started an inmate who was stabbing another inmate. We shot him with a Mini 14. Now there's a death involved. Now there's hostility. Now there's tension. We started seeing numerous kites get passed around. It's like, oh shit. More than likely, they're gonna get their get back. They're gonna run it back, right? That's realistic. Now you know why we didn't really meddle with that, because they would always try to sabotage each other. Another one could be, hey, inmates in cell 220, building 18, cell 227. They have weapons and dope. You go over there, sure enough, you find weapons and dope. Well, that was just the competition removing their competition. Happens all the time. Now they get rolled up to AdSeg. Now the person who dropped the kite is making a lot of money on the yard. That's what that be looking like. Now here's one. These are the Sureño reglas for AdSeg. Back in the day, C6, we snatched up a kite, right? They were fishing. Now I'm not going to go out here and put all the reglas. I mean, they're really, those are the rules, the house rules, right? Some good housekeeping rules. Make sure everybody's in order. Just right off the top, no interviews with ISU or IGI. That's the Sureños telling the rest of them that touch down. Oh, the first half is written in English and the bottom half is written in Spanish. You can't see it from way back there. It's fucking glare, but that's pretty common. They don't want to be out of the cell telling or not telling, or don't even know. Like, there's no way to know if they're telling, so you better just not go out there at all. It goes off to say that if you get a cellmate that's PC or no good, feel free to handle your business. Period. It goes on to say that you are going to sound off in the gallo, meaning the roll call in the morning, standing up from your cell door. You will not do it from your bunk. Period. It says no cell extracting, which is kind of cool. I mean, they have these rules like, so like I said, they're not really wild with it because they have these rules, man. Their goal is to make money, make business, get program. If you guys if the inmates board up, then that that throws a wrench in their program. That shuts down shop, so to say. There was something written in here, right, that I wrote. It says that I wrote, Jesus Christ, that I read earlier right before. It says rutina is mandatory, meaning working out is mandatory. It says the more you sweat in the time of peace, the less you will bleed in the time of war. That is exactly what we used to say in the military. Exactly, verbatim. And that is the truth. The more that you sweat in training is the less that you bleed in war. That's facts. That's why some units train harder than others. Or that's why units train extremely hard. So Hector, you just read us two little separate kites, two little separate thingies. Yeah, my eyes gotten so bad. I was gonna buy a big magnifying glass, like my big pencil, right? But I'm like, you know what? You guys need to see me squint. Like that's how we used to be looking. Fucking hat's all crooked. Now, cell phones, they're more prominent nowadays, right? They come with a code, or sometimes they put the little passcode. I don't care how many codes you put on there. There's ways to defeat that for sure. No matter how many times you delete something on your cell phone, there's ways to recover it. That's how a lot of people are getting caught up in wrecks, jams, criminal indictments, and etc. etc. Um, C6, Sentinella, back in the day, individual cages. They would hide the kites out on the yard. So you would take two inmates out, put them on the yard. They would hide a little kite, bring them back in. Another set of inmates would go out. They'll read the little kite, probably put it in their butt, put it in their mouth, and then, pass notes that way. That part of the job was cool. I enjoyed, like, it's almost like being an investigator, being a detective. You always kind of want to know what they're up to. Um, Information would get shared. There would be copies of kites, like in the ASU property where the inmates' property is all boxed up. Man, there was a whole drawer full of like titty pictures where the loved ones would send like titty pictures to the inmates, and then you can't have them in prison, so they would just get them from the property, put them in a drawer. They were all in the drawer. Man, it's like Torta Central in there. Here we go. Coffee just hit. Son of a bitch. 11 minutes in, the coffee hit. Okay. Eso. Right? Eso. So, yeah, man, times have changed as far as communication. The type of communication has changed. It's almost like when the heavy hitters were put away in the shoe, Pelican Bay and Corcoran, that there was more correspondence going, more communication getting shot, boom, boom, by third-party mail drops. Meaning, I'm a gang member. I'm gonna write this letter, and I intend it to go to a big homie up in the Bay, but I don't want it. I cannot send it directly. So what I'm gonna do is send it to a lady out on the streets. She's gonna rewrite the whole thing verbatim in her handwriting from her address, and then shoot it to the heavy hitter up north. They read it. I want, um, I want Smiley. I send Smiley my best regards. Make sure he does get those 2 tickets for his vacation down south to Brazil. Oh no, they're gonna send Smiley to Brazil. Right, they would do shit like that. Um, Not verbatim, but you hear what I'm saying. Once in a while, we would hit a jackpot. I'm talking about a lot of kites in a little plastic bag. Oh, it would be the jackpot. There would be like hit lists, green light list, people that needed to get stabbed, people that needed to get removed. Um, AKAs, the inmate's last name, the CDC number, their AKAs, where they're from, East Los, West Side Verdugo. It would just be right there. Um, with that, I would probably have to do a part two more in depth of this was kind of just brushing over kites and whatnot. The message for today is, well, the guy said it in there, man. He said the more you sweat in training is the less you bleed in combat. As you can see, they were fine tuning their craft, right? We were fine tuning our craft. They were going all in on what they believed in. We were going all in on what we believed in. The message is just look at what you're following. Look, get out of try to step back from the trenches and see who's ordering you to do what, why, motives, ulterior motives. and it puts things in perspective. With that, keep pushing forward.